Hi and welcome back to Studio Tamera, the mystical paintress. Today we are out in the woods in Michigan. It is May 11th and the dogwoods are blooming. They're beautiful. And just like I had promised, I'm going to start doing some plein air painting and a little bit of plant lore and some of the stories and the medicine and the things plants were used for. So, a dogwood tree can live up to 80 years. I have some really great things to share with you. So, according to Tess Whitehurst's book, The Magic of Trees, she likens dogwoods to a pet dog. They're a very protective plant to have at your home. Helps determine who and what should be excluded from your life. Gives you the feeling you should step away when worn in an amulet. Planet is Saturn. Gender is masculine. Element is spirit. Powers are empathy, loyalty, just like a dog, love, miracles, protection, sympathy. The deity is Venus and Hecate. I'm not sure if I said that right. And the medicine part, and this is really what I'm into. I love learning all about all the plant healing and the lore and the early doctors and things like that. So for medicine, the dogwood tree was used to treat malaria instead of the drug quinine. Quinine? Not sure how you say that. They also used it for fatigue and headache, fever, and to stimulate appetite, and it was made like as a tonic. It was also applied to the skin directly for boils and wounds. So we have a dogwood tree right here that we are going to do a plein air painting of, which means painting outside. So here we go.
So the dogwood tree is right here. It's got this really cool Y shape and all these beautiful little white flowers. And it's really cold and windy today on the path, so I'm going to paint quickly.
So I have the Soltech easel set up. As you can see, I have my palette here, all of my paints and brushes. Everything is all in one place, and we are ready to rock. I decided to do a vertical painting, and I'm going to do a kind of a close-up of the tree. There's a really bad breeze here, even though it's beautiful and sunny. So my fingers are kind of cold. So I'm going to do a very quick painting this morning. So the first thing that we're doing here is I'm just taking blues and browns and greens, and I'm doing a negative background, which, as you can see, I'm painting very quickly. Negative means the spaces behind things and between things. So I've taken some broken blues and reds, and I'm just really quick negative painting behind. I'm using dark colors because the flowers on the dogwood are very light, so I wanted to have dark background. So browns and blues, you know, broken, make. Plus it also suggests little nooks and crannies and things going on and back in the forest, so that's fun. If you're painting for the first time, I highly suggest big brushes and bold strokes and leave them. We're going to suggest a few other little trees in the background too. Okay, so there's our rough underpainting, I would call it. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use a smaller brush, a flat. This is a number 8. And we are going to mix a little bit of cad yellow light and white together, and we're going to put a little sap green, and we're going to make some of this color here that is at the base of this dogwood tree in the woods right here. So we're just going to suggest a little, because it's spring and dogwoods bloom in the spring, so you want a couple telltale signs. And sometimes I'll paint things to look very photographic, but for the most part I prefer to paint things that look a little more impressionistic, freer. This just makes it more interesting, more fun. So just take your brush and then lift it. Okay, there's also back here some leaves and things in the woods. You just squint, and if you see it, just stick it in there a little bit here and there, and it'll make it look a little more real. So you can actually paint this very quickly with 2 brushes and your basic plein air palette. My eyes are watering like crazy because I'm in like this wind vortex and my fingers are going numb. So if you look at the bark of that tree, it's really not brown, it's really gray. So we're gonna mix some gray, put it in here, and there's different colors of gray. There's darker and lighter. You can always mix alizarin and viridian green, alizarin red and viridian green, and that makes a really cool silvery gray. Oh my gosh, why am I painting in this wind vortex? I just wanted to get this dogwood painted. We're going to be painting some lunaria later. Alright, so see how we have this nice silvery green with that? And I'm just kind of hinting it in here. Trees usually grow in a Y, but you gotta study them. They're like people, and they each have their own personality. I'm about getting ready to say I'm gonna quit because it's so windy and cold. Plein air painting is always so unexpected. You really just never know what you're gonna get. There's my crow. Alright, so this is, hi! This is my little dogwood tree. That's kind of what he looks like, isn't it? So I'm refining some of my, I'm starting to get a little light on the board too. I'm just refining some of my negative painting. And even though these branches are like letter Y's, you gotta remember they're not gonna be the same thickness, they're not gonna be the same length and width. So we gotta really switch them up, study the tree, look at the shape of the actual tree, and then just kind of go by that. And I see some dark things in the woods here in the background. I'm just gonna put a couple of those in. I should probably get my shade buddy out because we have light on the board now, but that's all right. Here at the base of this tree, it's even a little darker than anywhere else. So we're just gonna take a little bit of this darker blue-brown mix. You can even put a little red or a little sienna in here if you want, because when I look, I do see a little bit of sienna. And just be very fun and free and loose with your brush strokes, unless you're going to do a photographic painting, which I'm not. That's not my plan today at all. So, and then if you do something you don't like, you can just wipe it off. So we're getting the basic idea. This is a new rosemary plein air brush set that I got, and never used these before, so we're gonna give it a whirl. I'm gonna put it in here. I'm gonna use these to do a little bit of the light gray, some of these branches, so we're gonna mix it in. All right, and some of these branches are really highlighted.
Just gotta really study them, and it's kind of hard to talk. While I'm studying them. It gives them a little refined shape. And you don't want them all the same darkness or any of that either, so. We also have some very dark branches when you look up here. So we've got to add some, I think, a little bit darker too, just to kind of give it the balance. And these don't need to stick out, you know, you don't want them to look like something that we pasted on. So we're gonna just look up there, and I see there's one here, goes like that. This one kind of has a shadow. There's one here. This is a really curly tree, isn't it? The beautiful thing about plein air painting is it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter if it turns out exactly like the tree you're looking at, if it's a little different. You had a wonderful relationship with nature. Got out in nature and you got to spend time focusing on it. And that's what really makes it cool and fun and unique, opposed to art in a studio or, you know, any of that. So I'm just looking now up at the tree. It's hard because there's a lot going on. See, there's a lot of other trees, and I really isolated this guy. So I did that on purpose. Let's mix a little purpley gray, and we're gonna darken some of this so it's not all one color, so it looks a little more real. Got a lot of dappled light in here, right? And we need to kind of reflect that in here. Go over our dark strokes again. If something's too dark, by all means, you can just very lightly go over it too. That's what I'm going to do. This is almost too black. But these trees are crazy and they're loopy. I mean, look at this here. See how it's all loopy and curly, and yeah, they got some crazy patterns. I'm gonna mix a little blue and just put a little blue on here and there, where I see a couple spots coming through of sun in here. And we got a little blue. This is very impressionistic. It's not at all realistic, photographic. This is just a wild, free, impressionistic painting. So the dogwood flower is quite beautiful, but from the distance we're at, you wouldn't see it. Like you could see it here. Had to put the hood on, it got a little chilly. Wind is getting very cold, so I'm gonna take a little bit of a pink and white and just touch the board a little bit. That's too much. See, what we need to do is just suggest. Just suggest these little guys. Just suggest them. And they're very airy, fairy, light, random. There's a little one down here. I think I might need a little more white. My paintings, by the way, most of them are for sale, so if you are interested in any of my paintings, let me know. Another common tool used to give the illusion, because you're a painter, you're creating an illusion of things, is a palette knife. And you would just load part of your knife and just barely touch it. And you can overdo things with a palette knife very quickly. So you want to make sure you don't overdo it. Okay, and then to go in and give kind of a 3D effect, you can always too just put a little dark browns and blacks and blues and maroons and stuff just right underneath. So you're going to get a dark color, any dark color. You can also lose some of your branches, meaning, you know, they don't all need to be seen. Makes it look much more real when they're not, because your mind tells you you could see all the branches, but you really can't when you look at them. I need something real dark right there, don't I? Yeah, just because that is an obvious change in the tree right there. So I'm going to put a little dark just under these guys. And this is funny, but rule of thumb is if an oil painting looks right at 10 feet away, it's right, because that's where you're supposed to view most oil paintings from, is about 10 feet away, so. Now I'm just looking and seeing that there are a couple other little trees and things. Woods. This has a big white spot right here from the sun. I'm going to put it on there. Wherever I see. Just going to look real quick, and if I see something on there, I'm going to put it on. Like I see sun here, see a little sun here. There's a little pink, see a little pink. See a little like of a brown gray color. Gosh, it's kind of hard to mix, but kind of like that. And you just touch it, and it works or it doesn't. And sometimes it doesn't, and it looks really bad. This happens to everybody who paints, by the way. This is not, oh, I'm new, so this happened to me. It happens to all of us. So how cool that our ancestors saw this tree and thought, oh, let's make medicine out of it. That's so cool. I often wonder, you know, who was the first person that ever ate a mushroom? Or who was the first person that ever said, oh, let's try this, you know, or let's eat this, or I'm sure a lot of people died doing that trial and error thing with plants. A lot of people died over the years, animals. So yeah, it's pretty good. We might need to add a little bit of this spring green, or no. You know, my fear with adding, I really love the spring green in the foreground. I think if I put too much in the background, it might kind of take away. So I'm going to make it just a little darker. I'm going to add a little in here, though, because there is a little spring green up in front of this guy. So I just, you know, in the woods, nothing just sits by itself, so it's going to be interrupted by things. Going to be little amounts of green here and there. I really like this rosemary brush. I recommend it, so I'm going to have to give them some feedback. This is cool. I like it. I think it's a great brush. All right, up here, there's a couple little trees in the background that have some spring greens up here. Let's mix a little bit and put it in. Just a little. Some little highlights. This is what brings your paintings to life, is pay attention to a couple of the little details, but it's a balance because you don't want to overdo it. So there. I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe put a few more dogwood flowers using the white and a little pink. Water it down some with some turp. And just put a couple of those in here, like boldly, a couple. Well, I'm very happy with my quick little dogwood painting I did.
So in the end, you have this cute little awesome painting. So when you're done, you have a cute little painting of a dogwood tree. And in different light, it looks different. In the sun, it'll look different. But it's a little study of nature and your relationship with nature. And it's always a fun adventure. So go out and paint and have a great time. And if you like my videos, please hit like and subscribe. It's free. Helps my channel. Have a great day. Oh, the critters are coming out, the spring critters.